Have you ever noticed that a simple compliment from an older man often feels more meaningful than a dozen flattering words from someone else? It isn't because he uses better language. It isn't because he's more charming. And it certainly isn't because he's trying harder. It's because experience changes the way a man sees people. His words are usually slower, more deliberate, and free from the need to impress. When he offers a genuine compliment, it feels less like persuasion and more like honest recognition. As a woman, I can tell you there's a huge difference between being admired and being truly seen. Most women hear compliments about their appearance all the time. They're told they're beautiful, attractive, or pretty. While those words can be nice, they often fade quickly because they've been heard so many times before. What stays with a woman is when a man notices something deeper, something about her character, her presence, or the way she carries herself. That's exactly what we're exploring today. In this video, I'm going to share 9 compliments women genuinely love hearing from older men, and more importantly, why these compliments leave such a lasting impression. These aren't clever pickup lines or psychological tricks designed to manipulate attraction. They're authentic observations that communicate emotional maturity, confidence, and genuine appreciation. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Isabella, and on this channel we explore female psychology, attraction, and relationship dynamics to help men build stronger, healthier, and more meaningful connections. So, let's begin with the first compliment because it reveals something every woman quietly hopes the right man will notice. The first compliment women genuinely love hearing from an older man is this: "I appreciate how comfortable you are with yourself." At first glance, it doesn't sound particularly romantic. In fact, many men overlook it because they're convinced they need to compliment a woman's beauty to make an impression. But this kind of compliment reaches a place that physical compliments rarely touch. As a woman, let me explain why. From a young age, many women grow up feeling like they're constantly being observed. They're judged on how they look, how they dress, how they speak, and even how they carry themselves. Social media only amplifies that pressure, creating endless comparisons that can leave even confident women questioning whether they're enough. That's why this compliment feels so different. When a mature man notices that a woman seems comfortable in her own skin, he's not evaluating her appearance. He's recognizing the peace she has found within herself. Instead of saying, "You look beautiful," he's saying, "I see that you're not pretending to be someone else." That's a far deeper form of appreciation. Women rarely forget people who make them feel accepted instead of evaluated. This compliment also reveals something about the man giving it. It tells her he isn't obsessed with perfection. He's paying attention to authenticity. He's noticing confidence that doesn't need attention and self-worth that doesn't rely on constant validation. Ironically, when a woman feels completely accepted, she often becomes even more relaxed, open, and genuine. That's why older men deliver compliments like this so naturally. They're not trying to create attraction, they're simply acknowledging something they sincerely admire. And that quiet honesty is exactly what gives the compliment its lasting impact. The second compliment women genuinely love hearing from an older man is this: "You have a calm presence. It's refreshing." It may seem like a simple observation, but psychologically it carries far more meaning than most men realize. As a woman, I can tell you that calm is one of the rarest qualities people encounter today. We live in a world filled with constant notifications, endless distractions, emotional drama, and people who seem to mistake chaos for excitement. Because of that, many women spend their days surrounded by pressure, expectations, and emotional noise. When someone notices the calm they bring instead of the excitement they create, it feels incredibly validating. This compliment isn't about how she looks or how entertaining she is. It's about how she makes the people around her feel. Think about the message behind those words. You're telling her that being around her feels peaceful, that her presence lowers tension instead of creating it, that conversations with her don't feel like a competition or an emotional roller coaster. Those are qualities that many women hope others notice, but rarely hear acknowledged. Older men often give compliments like this because they value peace differently than younger men. Experience teaches them that beauty may catch your attention, but emotional stability is what makes you want to stay. They've learned that relationships built on constant intensity eventually become exhausting, while relationships built on mutual calm tend to last much longer. When a woman hears, "You have a calm presence," she doesn't just feel admired, she feels emotionally safe. She realizes that the man speaking isn't chasing excitement or trying to impress her. He's appreciating the quiet qualities that make her unique. And that kind of recognition creates a connection that goes far beyond ordinary attraction. The third compliment women deeply appreciate hearing from an older man is this: "I enjoy the way you think." Out of all the compliments a woman can receive, this is one of the few that speaks directly to her identity instead of her appearance. It tells her that you're paying attention to what's happening beneath the surface, and that can leave a far greater impression than simply telling her she's attractive. As a woman, I can tell you that many conversations feel predictable. Some men are so focused on making a good impression that they barely listen. They're waiting for their turn to speak, trying to be funny, or looking for the perfect opportunity to flirt. When that happens, a woman often feels heard only halfway. This compliment changes that completely. When you tell a woman that you enjoy the way she thinks, you're acknowledging her perspective, her curiosity, and the way she processes the world. You're saying that spending time talking with her is enjoyable because of who she is, not just because of how she looks. That kind of appreciation is surprisingly rare. Older men tend to give this compliment more naturally because they understand that meaningful conversations create stronger connections than clever one-liners ever could. They aren't rushing to impress. They're genuinely interested in learning how someone sees life, solves problems, and expresses ideas. Women can usually sense the difference immediately. Genuine curiosity feels completely different from performative attention. When a woman realizes that a man values her mind as much as her appearance, she often becomes more relaxed, more expressive, and more willing to share her authentic self. That's because feeling intellectually appreciated creates a level of emotional intimacy that physical compliments alone can never achieve. The fourth compliment women genuinely love hearing from an older man is this: "You don't try too hard, and that's attractive." At first, it might not sound like much of a compliment, but underneath those words is a message that many women quietly long to hear. It tells her that she doesn't have to perform to be appreciated. As a woman, I can tell you there's often an invisible pressure to always be interesting, engaging, funny, confident, and effortlessly put together. Whether it's social media, work, or dating, many women feel like they're constantly expected to present the best version of themselves. Over time, that pressure becomes exhausting. That's why this compliment feels so refreshing. When an older man notices that a woman is comfortable simply being herself, he's recognizing something far more valuable than perfection. He's telling her that her natural personality is enough. She doesn't need to entertain him, compete for his attention, or become someone she's not in order to be appreciated. That creates an immediate sense of emotional ease. Older men often understand this because they've learned that authenticity is far more attractive than performance. They've met enough people to recognize the difference between someone who is trying to impress everyone in the room and someone who is quietly confident in who they are. Experience teaches them that genuine comfort is difficult to fake. Ironically, this is where real attraction often begins. The moment a woman realizes she doesn't have to prove herself, she becomes even more relaxed and authentic. Instead of feeling evaluated, she feels accepted. And when someone feels accepted, trust develops naturally. That's why compliments like this linger in a woman's mind long after the conversation has ended. They make her feel free to simply be herself. The fifth compliment women deeply appreciate hearing from an older man is this: "You have depth. Not everyone does." This isn't the kind of compliment that gets an instant laugh or a dramatic reaction. Instead, it stays with her because it acknowledges something she hopes people will eventually notice, but rarely say out loud. As a woman, I can tell you that many women grow tired of conversations that never move beyond the surface. People often notice appearance first, personality second, and very few ever take the time to discover what someone genuinely believes, values, or has learned through life's experiences. That's why being recognized for depth feels so meaningful. When an older man says, "You have depth," he's communicating that he sees more than what is immediately visible. He's recognizing emotional maturity, thoughtful conversation, resilience, and the experiences that have shaped her into the person she is today. That kind of compliment can't be given after a quick glance. It comes from paying attention. Older men often notice these qualities because experience changes what they find attractive. After living through success, disappointment, joy, and hardship, they begin valuing character more than appearances. They understand that beauty may catch someone's eye, but depth is what keeps two people connected long after the excitement of a new relationship fades. For many women, hearing this compliment creates a powerful sense of being understood. It tells her that the man isn't interested in an idealized version of who she appears to be. He's interested in the person she's become through her experiences. And when a woman feels genuinely understood instead of simply admired, emotional trust begins to grow naturally. That's why this simple observation often leaves a far deeper impression than compliments focused only on physical attraction. The sixth compliment women genuinely love hearing from an older man is this: I respect the way you handle yourself. That single sentence carries a kind of weight that many compliments never reach, because respect isn't handed out casually. It has to be earned. When a woman hears those words from a mature man, she understands that he's noticed more than a single moment. He's been paying attention to her character. As a woman, I can tell you that respect often means more than praise. Compliments about beauty can brighten your day, but respect touches something much deeper. It acknowledges the choices you've made, the way you respond under pressure, and the dignity you carry even when no one is applauding you. Think about what this compliment is really saying. It's not, "I like the way you look." It's, "I've watched how you treat people. I've seen how you carry yourself. I've noticed your self-control, your kindness, and your integrity." Those observations leave a lasting impression because they can't be offered without genuine attention. Older men naturally give compliments like this because experience teaches them that character is far more valuable than charm. They've learned that anyone can make a good first impression, but consistency is what reveals who a person truly is. They no longer confuse confidence with loudness or kindness with weakness. They recognize quiet strength when they see it. When a woman realizes she's being respected instead of simply admired, something changes in the conversation. She no longer feels like she's being evaluated. She feels like she's being treated as an equal whose values and conduct are genuinely appreciated. And that kind of compliment creates trust, because respect is one of the strongest foundations any lasting relationship can have. The seventh compliment women deeply appreciate hearing from an older man is this: "You don't feel like someone who's trying to prove anything." It may sound subtle, but psychologically, it's one of the most reassuring compliments a woman can receive, because it recognizes quiet confidence instead of outward performance. As a woman, I can tell you that many people spend an enormous amount of energy trying to justify themselves. They feel pressured to explain every decision, defend every opinion, or convince others that they're successful, attractive, or worthy of respect. Over time, that becomes exhausting. So when someone notices that you carry yourself with quiet confidence instead of constant self-promotion, it feels incredibly validating. This compliment says something much deeper than most people realize. It tells her that you've noticed she isn't competing for attention. She isn't seeking approval from everyone around her. She's comfortable allowing her actions to speak louder than her words. That kind of confidence is both calming and attractive because it feels genuine. Older men often recognize this quality because they've reached a stage in life where they no longer admire people who constantly demand recognition. They've learned that the most secure individuals rarely feel the need to announce how confident, intelligent, or successful they are. Their character speaks for itself. When a woman hears this compliment, she understands that the man isn't impressed by appearances alone. He's paying attention to the quiet confidence beneath them. That creates a sense of emotional safety because she doesn't feel pressured to keep proving herself. Instead, she feels appreciated for simply being who she is. And that's exactly why compliments like this stay in a woman's mind long after the conversation ends. They acknowledge the kind of confidence that doesn't ask the world for permission to exist. The eighth compliment women genuinely love hearing from an older man is this: "I enjoy being around you. It feels easy." Out of all the compliments we've discussed, this may be the simplest, yet it often carries the greatest emotional impact. That's because it isn't focused on what she has, what she does, or even who she appears to be. It's focused on how she makes someone feel. As a woman, I can tell you that many women worry about being too much or not enough. They wonder if they're talking too much, asking too many questions, being too quiet, or making the wrong impression. Those thoughts can quietly create pressure during even the most enjoyable conversations. This compliment removes that pressure almost instantly. When an older man says, "I enjoy being around you, it feels easy," he's telling her that being together doesn't feel like work. There's no awkwardness, no emotional exhaustion, no constant need to impress one another. The conversation flows naturally. Silence feels comfortable, and neither person feels the need to pretend. Older men often appreciate this more than younger men because experience teaches them that peace is incredibly valuable. They've learned that lasting relationships aren't built on endless excitement or dramatic emotions. They're built on consistency, comfort, and the ability to enjoy ordinary moments together. The ninth and final compliment builds naturally from this idea. It's simply this: you make people feel at ease. That's a rare gift. It tells a woman that her kindness, warmth, and emotional presence have a positive effect on everyone around her, rather than focusing on her appearance or achievements. It acknowledges the atmosphere she creates. And for many women, knowing they bring peace, comfort, and genuine warmth into someone's life is one of the most meaningful compliments they could ever receive. As we come to the end of today's discussion, there's one important lesson I hope you take away from all of this. None of these compliments are memorable because they're clever. They aren't powerful because they're romantic. They're powerful because they're sincere. Every compliment we've talked about today communicates something far more valuable than attraction. It communicates attention. Most men think the secret to complimenting a woman is finding the perfect words. In reality, the secret is learning to genuinely notice people. Women can usually tell the difference between a compliment that's been rehearsed and one that comes from honest observation. One feels like a strategy, the other feels like recognition. As a woman, I can tell you that the compliments we remember for years are rarely the ones about our appearance. They're the ones that made us feel understood. The man who notices your calmness, your character, your confidence, your depth, or the peace you bring into a room is seeing something many others completely overlook. That's why those words stay with us long after the conversation has ended. Older men often give better compliments because they've stopped trying to impress everyone they meet. They've learned that real confidence doesn't chase reactions. It simply speaks honestly. That quiet authenticity makes every word feel more meaningful because there's no hidden agenda behind it. So don't focus on memorizing these 9 compliments word for word. Instead, develop the habit of paying closer attention to the people around you. Learn to appreciate qualities that most people ignore. And when you do offer a compliment, let it come from genuine observation rather than the hope of getting something in return. Which of these 9 compliments do you think would leave the biggest impression on a woman? Or is there another compliment you've given or received that you'll never forget? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so share them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another conversation about female psychology, attraction, and building meaningful relationships. Once again, my name is Jills Guerin.